Hey guys, Bango here. So in today's video, I'm going to cover chronic migraines, headaches, how they impact me on a day-to-day and overall, how detrimental they are for me, and just debilitating. I'll go over medications that my doctor's given me that either has or hasn't worked, or just go all over them all in general so that you have an idea of things to look for or ask for if you happen to struggle with this. Um, I'll also talk about things that I've done outside of prescription meds, over the counter type stuff, and just alternative stuff as well that has helped reduce my headaches and migraines to a tolerable level. Also go over dizzy spells and dizziness in general, just a little bit to talk about how for me it intertwines with how I've been with headaches and how it's just made it a little bit worse. But as usual, before I go into all that, updates. So with my physical therapy, um, I brought up on Monday again about the middle of my back hurting, and it's still sore and fatigued, and he just again was just like, huh, that's weird. That's it. That's all he said. So at first I was kind of like peeved, like, really? That's it? Like, no advice, no anything. And then when I went back again Thursday, I again said, hey, my lower back actually feels really good this morning. I don't need any muscles or knots worked out. It feels great, which is great, right? I mean, that was a huge for me. Um, so then after I told him, he went ahead and kind of poked around in that area, felt around, and he found a couple of gnarly knots on either side in that area that was hurting, and he worked them a little bit, and that helped a little bit, but I still feel it. Even right now, I feel it. So he did though say, okay, well, also what you can try, especially when you're sitting in this chair, because this is what triggers it the most. Because I had to really, force myself straight, and it's tough. He said, ice it for 10 minutes, throughout the day, see if that helps. I haven't done that yet. I know, slacker, but and start trying that tomorrow and see how it goes. Mostly didn't do it the last few days because, well, I haven't really been sitting here. I've been sitting on my nice comfy bed, and there wasn't any pain involved there. So yeah. And the occupational therapy hasn't started yet. That's not till I think the 8th. But once I start it and kind of get information in, I'll actually update you guys on that. But yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time or before, but this is the lumbar pillow I use, mostly when I'm sitting in my chair, sometimes on the couch, because the couches aren't very supportive. You kind of sink into them, and when you got issues, you need all you can get. So I'll have a link for that down below if you guys want to check it out. I like it. It works. So yeah. But let's go over headaches now, right? Okay, so most people in their life has experienced a headache, and they know what it feels like and how it sucks and all that. But what you may or may not know is there are different types or triggers of headaches. So the some I'm going to list here are the ones that I've been dealing with. There are more than these, but these are the ones that I in general deal with, right? So they are tension, allergies or sinuses, caffeine, exertion, and heat. And like I said, there's more of them, but these are what I deal with. So tension headaches, okay, that's a big one for me. I talked about that a little bit last time, I believe. I get tension in the neck and yada yada yada. Excuse me. So for allergy or sinus, for me, it's mostly the sinus because I have sinusitis. If I said that right, I'd be amazed. But yeah, every time I have one of those sinus attacks or fluid buildups, it just puts all that pressure right here and causes pain and sometimes even tension and the headache, migraine, boom. That's actually how I first started getting chronic migraines. one day I had a really bad sinusitis attack, and I saw my ENT and said I'm getting migraines, debilitating migraines, and that's how that all started. Get into that whole thing later. um, okay, so then the caffeine. Now, caffeine is a double-edged sword, at least for me. Okay, basically, caffeine helps your headaches. If you've ever taken Excedrin migraine, it has caffeine in it. Okay, so if you have a headache or a migraine, you take it. It helps. Maybe not a lot. Maybe it does, or in between, but it does help, and it has caffeine. The other problem though with that is caffeine can also cause or trigger migraines or headaches. Okay, so if you drink too much caffeine in a day and not enough water, or just a little bit of caffeine even and just not that much water, it can throw it off, you're off, and cause a headache or such. Or if you drink caffeine decent amount and you just suddenly stop for a day or two, it can also trigger it. So you got to be a little careful with that, at least if that's how it works for you. It definitely does for me. So I try to balance it out, obviously, moderation, as like in anything in life. So, and then heat, right? I know that sounds like a weird one, but for me, if I get too hot, if it's a hot day and the high 80s, low 90s or higher or whatever, if I'm just sitting here hot, it will trigger something in terms of headache or migraine. So I have to always try to keep cool, or don't overexert myself, because that's another one, getting exerted from exercise and or heat or working out too much or whatever it may be. But those are what I deal with, and so I have to be really careful and balance and just keep an eye out and recognize the signs. If something's coming on, or I feel like maybe a little pain up here, well, the sinus is starting to act up, better start nipping that in the bud, kind of a thing. So yeah, it is what it is. You just gotta do what you gotta do to reduce it. And pre-medication, I was getting, I don't know, at least 5 to 7 headaches a week, and for like 3 or 4 migraines a week. Sometimes it would be less, but in general, I'd say on average 3 migraines a week, which if you've ever had a migraine, they're debilitating. Okay, they're tough. And so with that, let's go into migraines. Okay, so for me, in general, the symptoms of migraines I deal with, and there's more than what I'm going to say, but these are what mostly I deal with, and that's light sensitivity, and sound sensitivity, as well as I sometimes get nauseated when I have a really bad migraine, to the point where I can't eat or drink anything, because then it just comes right up, because I'm just so sick to my stomach. And generally when I have one of those really bad attacks, I have to just go in my room, shut everything off, no noise, no lights, pull my blanket over my head, and just pass it out and ride the thing out until it's gone. There's not much you can do once, at least not for me, once it happens, once it's there. Even my neurologist has said, if you got a migraine, really you just have to ride it out, because that's it. There's nothing that you can take in that moment generally that will stop it. Maybe some people can, but I definitely can't. If it's there, I have to just ride it out. And unfortunately, most of the time it takes about the whole day to ride it out, sometimes less, but pretty much most of the day. So it really sucks. And it's not fun. There's a lot more about migraines and how they work and triggers, or just all kinds of stuff to it, and maybe we'll get in that later. But I just wanted to cover the little basics of it and how it impacts my life and whatnot. But I mostly want to get into medications that my doctor has tried for me, past ones and current one, that has either helped me or didn't, or the side effects really suck, because side effects, they're in everything. So sorry about that. So he started me off with pill medications, and the one I most remember is called propranolol, right? There's a few others he had me try, I like it, but they just didn't work. But propranolol, it did help, not to the degree where I'm at now, but it did help, and so obviously I was thankful for that. Any reduction and help, I was glad with, even if it only took away one migraine a week, I'll take it, right? But what sucked is the side effect. It didn't happen right away. It took probably, I don't know, a month maybe on it. And, thankfully there was a chair right next to me because I was just standing up and extreme vertigo. And I've never had vertigo in my life that I can recall. I've had dizziness, but never vertigo. And it was so bad, I literally almost kicked the bucket and fell over. So if it weren't for that chair from you could grab on and just, plump on down on, I would have just been like knocked out on the floor. And I just had to close my eyes, cover my ears, put my head down and just kind of, rock and try to just, distract myself and move my head a little bit to try to see if it like readjusted whatever was going on. It was bad. It was like a whole minute I had to just sit there and write it out. And so that medication was a no-no from there on out. And so he also gave me a medication called sumatriptan. Now, it's not something you take all the time. It's a as-needed type of medication. How it works is if you feel like a migraine is starting to come on, that's when you take it, right? You take it before that migraine ramps up to the point of no return. And it's supposed to reduce the level of pain and detriment, as well as reduce the duration of it. Okay, it doesn't get rid of it, doesn't stop it, it just slows it down in its tracks, so that if it usually lasts you 9 hours, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, if it used to be like a level 20 pain, maybe now level 6, that kind of a thing. And it varies from person to person. I often hated taking it because it was one of those, which one is worse, the migraine stuff or the side effect from the medication? For me, the side effect was basically like I had the flu, a really bad flu, actually. I was sick to my stomach, nauseous, full body aches and pains. I just felt clammy and gross. It was just, ugh. And so you really just have to decide which one is the lesser of two evils in that situation. And a lot of times I just took Excedrin migraine and just sucked it up because I hated that sickness feeling. I just do. I hate it. So those are those kind of things that help. But then he tried Botox, and I was shocked. I'm like, I didn't know Botox was for migraines. I thought it was just for making your face and skin look nice or something. I don't know. I didn't really look into Botox because I had no need for it. But apparently you use it for migraines, right? And so how it works, okay, so I'm going to read you a quote from the American Migraine Foundation. And it basically says, Botox enters the nerve endings around where it is injected and blocks the release of chemicals involved in pain transmission. This prevents activation of pain networks in the brain. Okay, so essentially what all that means is you can probably feel it on your head. You have all these little squishy little nerve clusters that you can probably feel. Easy ones are to feel like around your temple area, but you have a whole bunch all over the place. And what you have to do with Botox is you have to inject each one with Botox, okay? And if you've ever had a needle just shoved into your nerve, the big cluster of nerves before, like in your toes, it hurts like a mother effer, okay? Excuse my language, but it really does. And it was like 34 plus shots on my head and forehead area. And that's every month you have to get that done. And for me, I'm like, nope. After the first month, I'm like, I don't care if it cured it. I don't want to do it. It was just unpleasant. The pain was just too much. And I mean, could have just been the way he did it, but it was just like, he was like, almost like you're just staple. It was suck, So no, I was like over it. Nope. But so that, and it seized up my whole forehead, and I couldn't move anything. And it took like 2 months afterwards for it to finally regain functionality and use, and not good, not pleasant. No thanks. If it works for you though, kudos, awesome. I'm happy. But for me, it's just no. And that's where a friend of mine told me about Amiovig. I think I'm saying that right. But he instead tried me on a thing that's very similar. It's called total brain fart. I love that. Emgality. There we go. It's called Emgality, and it's a lot like Amiovig. And what it is, it's self-injected needle. You just stick on your belly, and you just push the button, and it does the work for you. Very painful, but it's quick, it's easy, and it's once a month. Can't go wrong there. I'm okay with pricking myself once a month. So over the last 12 months, I am happy to say I'm down to 4 migraines a year. And so that's a huge win. Huzzah, right? So that's great. But headaches, I still probably get 2 a week, but they're not that bad anymore. They're tolerable, more of a nuisance. Sometimes they're kind of, mess with my mood a bit, but usually Excedrin migraine helps, and all the other stuff I'm going to cover here in a second helps reduce it and help me go about my day essentially. So now the non-medicated stuff I've used that has helped me. One, I use a diffuser. It's kind of like a mistifier or whatever they're called, but it's the same type of process. And I use these 2 particular doTERRA oils. One is called Balance and one is Breathe. And you put those 2 in and you run it, and it just helps you relieve that tension or whatever it is. I don't know how it works. Excuse me, but it does. I usually run it overnight or even during the day or both, whatever, whenever. There's no limit on how many times you can run it. You could run it nonstop if you really wanted to. But it's helped me a lot. Another thing that's helped me is from doTERRA as well. It's called Past Tense. It's this little vial that has a roller on it, and you just roll it on your temple and on the back of your neck area, the base of like your hairline. And I can tell you, I'm skeptical about those type of things, but I'll tell you, I was desperate to try anything, and I tried it, and I'm glad I did, because like 30 seconds maybe after I put them on, especially on my temples, instant relief, right? Didn't get rid of it. I can still feel it there, right? But it definitely made it so I can go about my day. And you have to probably apply it a few times a day if it keeps coming back. But the point is, you can keep doing it and keep holding it back until it finally passes. And I love that. And it's a win. So I suggest you check it out if you really want. Another thing that has helped is I use these blackout like strips that you just put over your window, and it blacks out the sun. So no more nasty sun, especially if you're like me and they get the afternoon sun just blasting your face. The other thing is I use smart bulbs now, and those have been amazing. Okay, you can change colors, red, green, blue, all that stuff, but you can also do certain, like with the kind I got, they're called scenes, and basically it's like a blue light filter, and I do that on mine. I can stare right at the light bulbs, no pain, no nothing. It's beautiful. And I don't have to use the blue light filter on my computer, which, makes everything look kind of orangey, and who wants to see everything in orange, right? So I highly suggest looking at, Amazon or something for some light bulbs that do that. They're voice controlled or not, depending up to you. I'll link some of this stuff down below, or like I said, you can just check Amazon for a lot of this stuff. Amazon has just about anything, right? Those are the things that helped me. My doctor did, though, however, suggest I take a thing called magnesium taurate. Most people probably haven't heard of that version of magnesium. I know I didn't. I don't know why or how it's different, but he says it helps with migraines and stuff. But for me, my body doesn't tolerate magnesium in any form, any version. It hates it, so I couldn't do it. But hey, if it works for you, it works for you. That's all that really matters at this point. Um, so really quickly, I'm just gonna go over dizziness, real brief here. It kind of, I've always had dizziness, but once I started really getting the chronic migraines and headaches, it kind of intensified it or increased the amount of times or triggers, that kind of thing. So it sucks. It is what it is, but you just gotta remember, hey, if I bend down, I gotta remember I gotta go down slow and go back up slow. Otherwise, I can get dizzy, fall flat on my face, and that's not good. So it's just about knowing your body, feeling when things are off or coming on or something's not right, that kind of thing. A lot of times I'll get dizzy too, just from the sinusitis build up, the sinus and fluid, and it just throws my equilibrium off, and so I can just easily like shake my head and be like, oh, I gotta sit down, kind of thing. So yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. We can always go a lot more in depth with dizziness later on too, but for now we're just gonna go with that. And again, I just wanted to say that's gonna be it for this video, and I really hope for those of you that do suffer from headaches and migraines that anything that I've said or suggested will help you in any way, shape, or form, because they suck, and I feel sorry if you deal with them, and hopefully you can get some relief. And if you really like this video, again, please like and subscribe and check out my other stuff. Feel free to drop me a comment, as well if you want. And again, I just want to say, you are loved, you have value, please don't give up. This world would be worse off without you in it, whether you see that or not, and it's true. And again, advocate for yourself for the sake of your health and your well-being. I love you all. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.